Nadine. Good afternoon.
Hi, Vanessa. Good afternoon.
Well,
no, I'm not angry, Vanessa. I'm never angry. So, it's sometimes a sadness in my life that I can't get riled about things, but no, I'm not angry. So the bottom line is really, it's, I'm doing my own show on TalkTV, and I write a column in the Daily Mail every Tuesday, which takes a lot more time than I ever thought it would do. Mm-hmm. And in fact, both do, Vanessa. I think you sit there all glamorous and present. It's actually hard work.
True.
And I've been slightly, I understand some of the criticisms I've received, and I've been slightly uncomfortable with the fact that I've been working like 7 days a week, and I'm also managing these outside jobs as well as my role as an MP. And the House of Lords thing was on the cards, and it's gone back to HOLAC for those who are MPs to be vetted or whatever. And I just thought, I think this is the time actually for me to stand down and for someone else to take over the reins of mid. But I've been there 18 years.
But what happened between 10 o'clock this morning, Nadine, when you said with great confidence to our colleague Mike Graham, the last thing I want to do is trigger a by-election, and then by just about 10 to 4 this afternoon, you decided to do precisely that. You're a woman of such conviction. To see you switch like that in the course of just a few hours is quite shocking to most people who know you well and those who don't. So what happened during the course of today to change your mind?
Well, I can't reveal everything. But so something significant did happen to change my mind. And, I'm not someone who's going to go, blabbing out what that was immediately. I need to, process a few thoughts and things. But something significant did happen to change my mind. And I did do. And I think it's for the best, because I think I heard you just saying before I came on, 2 years. I think 2 years is a long time for me to be presenting a show on TalkTV and writing a column in the Daily Mail, and I'm an author, I publish a book a year, and to be an MP, come on, something's got to give. And I'm 66, and I've done, I keep saying this, and I've done, 18 years as an MP, and I did think I'd be retiring in 2 years, but this is kind of new life opening up in front of me, along with a granddaughter. And so there are just other priorities and things to do. And I didn't want to cause a by-election, but I've got over myself, frankly, and it's time to do the right thing.
Nadine, did the Prime Minister go back on a promise to you? Were you promised a peerage? Did he revoke that peerage? Because you've really done a 360 since 10 o'clock this morning. Something pretty dramatic must have happened to change your mind. You're a woman who's not for turning. We all know that. You're very trenchant in your views. You really stick to your causes. You're very loyal. My God, you're loyal. We've seen your extraordinary loyalty and steadfastness to Boris Johnson. You're not somebody who switches. You're not a vacillator. So at 10 o'clock this morning, you're not under any circumstances going to trigger a by-election. By 4 o'clock this afternoon, you're doing exactly that. Is it that Rishi Sunak let you down? Did he do an about turn?
I need to explain something to you, Vanessa. I'm not on any list of Rishi Sunaks. I'm on the list of Boris Johnson.
Yeah, we know.
A Prime Minister doesn't have the ability to change the list of a former Prime Minister. So the list that Boris had was agreed with Rishi, and that was done. Rishi does not have. Can you imagine that if Rishi said, "I'm not going to"? I'm so sorry, my phone keeps going. Can you imagine that if Rishi said to suddenly decided, "I'm going to remove somebody from Boris's list"? Rishi has no idea who's going to be Prime Minister after him. He would be setting a precedent that has never been set before. No Prime Minister has ever done that to another Prime Minister. And he doesn't know who's going to come after him. And that person may very well decide to remove people from his list. So a Prime Minister doesn't do that. They'd be very foolish. It'd be a very stupid and foolish Prime Minister who tampered with the list of a former Prime Minister because he'd end up not getting his own nominations through. So that doesn't...
So Rishi Sunak's not the catalyst, that's what you're saying. It's not because of something the Prime Minister's done or hasn't done. So if the Prime Minister doesn't have a power of veto over another outgoing Prime Minister's list, and you say he doesn't, Who does? Is this one of these things where we're up against the blob? There's a big blob of civil servants who are saying Nadine Dorries may not be ennobled at this point. She's got to wait at least 2 years. And it's that kind of, the optics aren't good. We don't want Stanley Johnson to be given a knighthood. That's not good. He's Boris's dad. Nadine's got to sit tight for another 2 years. So's Alok Sharma. Is it the blob, or is it an individual who's let you down in this way?
Vanessa, I'd love to tell you, and one day I will, but I can't today.
But something has changed. Something from when you woke up this morning to this afternoon, in between breakfast and afternoon tea, something or someone has changed your scenario, and you're saying it's not Rishi Sunak. So is it several people? Is it one person? It's not Boris Johnson, obviously, going back on his desire to ennoble you. We know not that.
I didn't say what you just said. What I said is that a sitting prime minister does not have the agency to change the list of a former prime minister. So that's what I said to you. He doesn't have the right to do that. So that was what I said.
You said at the beginning of the programme, because I said either we're celebrating with Nadine Dorries and we're saying, my lady, congratulations, or we're condoling with her. Has she decided to throw the towel in so dramatically, so spontaneously, so quickly, after 18 years of excellent service? Is it because she's furious? And you said at the very beginning of our conversation, I'm not angry. I don't do anger. That's not me. I'm not doing that. I'm not angry at all. So are you very disappointed? Are you sad? Are you distressed? What's happening? What are you feeling at this point?
Relief is what I'm feeling at this point, at this moment.
Why?
I'm feeling well, I think I've been carrying a degree of guilt since I stood down as Secretary of State. I think I possibly maybe should have stood down then. I know there are things that have happened in my party, and I said it on my own programme when I stood down as an MP, you know. I'm not altogether comfortable with the way the party's conducted itself over the last year. I'm not happy with the events that took place removing Boris Johnson, and you know, there are just things that I'm unhappy with. And so I feel a sense of relief. You know, I'm going to be presenting my programme on a Friday night. I'm going to be writing my column in the Daily Mail on a Tuesday. And I will do both of those things without this invisible cloak of guilt that I wear around my shoulders. When I'm doing that, I will do that now freely and enthusiastically without that guilt.
Do you think, and I'm all about empowered women who really do stand up for themselves and tell it like it is. Do you think that you deserved a peerage, and do you think that you had put the time in, you had done the job, you had walked the walk and not just talked the talk, really done the work, really put the work in, and that this is a pretty shabby state of affairs, Nadine? Do you think that you should be in the House of Lords? You would actually be a great asset to the House of Lords?
Well, I put it this way, Vanessa. I trained as a nurse and worked in the NHS for 10 years. I started my own business, ran a very successful business from an original idea without borrowing a penny from anybody, and sold it to a blue chip company, became a director of a blue chip company. I'm a successful author who sold 3 million books.
I know, I've already said so this afternoon. It's extraordinary. I know you are.
I've served as an MP for 18 years. I served as a health minister throughout COVID in the Department of Health, and I served as a Secretary of State. There are many, many people sitting in the House of Lords who cannot, who do not have the record of achievement that I have, but they did go to Oxford or Cambridge, and they do move in slightly different circles to me. And if you ask me, am I disappointed? I'm slightly disappointed that someone who's born, the streets I was born on is one of the poorest streets in Britain at the moment. In fact, I think my street, Breck Road, is actually at the lowest on the list of most socially deprived areas in the UK. It is unusual for someone from my background who was born to the degree of poverty that I was born into. I know this sounds like a trope, but I literally had to borrow shoes to go to school. That someone who was born into my background, is very rare for that person to be ennobled in the House of Lords. And I think one of the reasons why I've hung on was because I did think to myself, wouldn't that just be amazing? Because what it says to everybody from my background is, you could do that too. You could be a peer in the House of Lords. But I don't think it was to be. And I think the realisation that I just didn't think it was going to be was something which kicked into my decision-making process today.
But isn't it extraordinary that in this day and age, the Conservative Party, whoever's influential in this, you say it's not the Prime Minister, but whoever it is, did not see this. But Nadine did not see this as the most incredible opportunity to do precisely what you've just described and to ennoble a woman of such achievement from such a background and say, look at us, look at the Conservative Party. Nadine Dorries is somebody who has served us with inspiration and with flair, with loyalty, diligence, all the good stuff. And look, here she is in the House of Lords. Why would anybody of influence in the party not want those optics? Why would anyone not want to show that they've moved away from some kind of Oxbridge club and you know, and towards much more egalitarian, much more kind of diverse and much more kind of inclusive acknowledgement? Why wouldn't they embrace that opportunity? It seems remarkable that to hear you say what you've said.
Yeah, I don't know what to say, really, Vanessa. I've only just made the decision just recently. They're literally, an hour ago. And, I haven't even spoken to my members of my family yet. And my phone is on fire at the moment with, there's a lot of thinking that I need to do through. And, but I am in a place now of relief where I can move forward and do the other things that I've been doing without carrying the guilt that I was doing that as an MP as well.
I mean, obviously, Nadine, shock running through the News UK building, shock running through the media, shock running through the House of Commons, although people are probably on their way home to a nice weekend in the lovely sunshine, but a great deal of shock, amazement, surprise and all of that kind of thing. But what about your constituents who've been relying on you for, as you say, 18 years? How do you feel about... I don't know whether to use the phrase letting them down or deserting them or walking away with so little warning after such a long time and such a close relationship. How do you feel about your constituents?
I did warn them, Vanessa. I said weeks ago on my show that I wasn't going to stand again at a general election. I think they're pretty much, psychologically tuned into that. So I'm just going a bit earlier than I said I was going to go. And who knows when a general election is going to happen? It could happen in, before the end of the year, who knows when it's going to happen. So I have said I'd already made the commitment that I was not going to stand again at a general election.
Do you think Alok Sharma should do what you've just done and do it nice and quickly this afternoon to give me something to do in the next hour of the show?
It's up to Alok. What Alok does is completely up to Alok. I'm not his mum. He'll make his own decisions.
Do you think that you're doing this because you just don't think the Tories stand a chance in the next general election and you don't want to hang around and waste the time that you've got doing, I don't know, good service for a regime that hasn't backed you up?
Do you know, this is what I ask people on my show on a Friday night. It's really weird now being asked it myself. One of the things I hope to do is remove myself from the position where people are asking me the questions that you're asking me right now. I can say, don't ask me, I'm not an MP. So Vanessa, don't ask me, I'm not an MP anymore.
Are you still part of the Tory WhatsApp group?
Oh, no, I've removed myself from some of those already. No, you can't be. Once you stand down as an MP, that's it, you're out.
What does Boris think of you standing down? I bet he's devastated.
We've had a number of conversations over the last 24 hours. And so, he knows exactly what I'm doing.
Does he understand? Does he approve?
All I'm going to say is that we've had a number of conversations.
Do you think he might stand down if he doesn't get thrown out?
Again, I literally can't comment on that.
I mean, what we know is that you and Boris, on the after-dinner speaking circuit all around the globe, from Helsinki to Hollywood and back, would be an absolutely indomitable and irresistible double act. Maybe you're going to go and do that. Didn't he earn $6 million in about 5 minutes? You could hoover it up. You won't have to be here at TalkTV or writing your Daily Mail column, Nadine. Just take to the heights with Boris.
Yeah, he doesn't need me to earn his $6 million. I can tell you, Vanessa, he does it all very well on his own.
He does, but with you as an intro and an outro, or you as, the lovely Debbie McGee to Boris's Paul Daniels, be fantastic. And not a lot of people know that.
No, I love him to bits. And Carrie, they're the two people I love dearly and would always be loyal to. But spending time on the road and doing a speaking circuit with Boris does not appeal to me at all.
And so, Nadine, when you think about your career, and it's an illustrious career. When you set out your own CV, it's absolutely dazzling. And you've achieved such an enormous amount. I wonder what you think your legacy, your political legacy, is going to be. I know it's very quick and you've only just made the decision, but you must have some thoughts about what your legacy is. What are the pinnacles of the things that you've achieved?
Well, over 18 years, Vanessa, there's been a huge number of things in my constituency, and that always, on the media, people like yourself, commentators and, journalists, they don't see that. They don't see what you do in the constituency because they don't really care. It's not newsworthy. It doesn't make big news, so nobody really cares. But the stuff you do in the constituency is really the most important element of the job. But I think for me, and again, Vanessa, you're the first person to ask me, and I haven't actually given time to think about it. I think probably the most important thing for me has been getting the online safety bill into shape to get to the House of Commons. That was quite important. That was 12 months of intense work that I absolutely loved and felt really good about at the end of it. So, and it was, I got there and that bill had been kicked into the long grass and I was told to keep it in the long grass. But, with the support of Boris, who, I went to and pleaded for him to put his wing around my shoulder and help me get this through, I managed to get it through to the position it's in now in the Lords. And that is, for all the parents who have children who are abused and harmed online, and all those vulnerable adults who sadly have been written out of the bill since I left. But the social media causes a huge amount of harm. And for me, that's probably the best thing I've done in 18 years.
Nadine Dorries, listen, we wish you all the luck in the world, and I'm very delighted to know that you're going to carry on as my colleague and cohort here at TalkTV. Lots of love. Thank you very much indeed. The inimitable Nadine Dorries, who will no longer be an MP as of this afternoon. Spontaneous decision.